Eagle has landed.
You're listening to American Slacker Podcast with Matthew Gertz and Jesse Landers.
This is my latest single, which is called How to Love You, and you can stream it anywhere you want. Show me how to rock with you. I really want to learn your moves. Let our bodies get in tune, in tune, in tune. I want it to be natural, like the way a river flows, feeling it from head to toe, to toe, to toe. Oh darling, I can't deny you put the stars in my sky. Take my hand and make my night. So give me a chance, 'cause I really wanna dance with you, yeah. Show me how to love ya. Rhythm is our truth, and I really wanna dance with you, yeah. Show me how to love ya. Show me how to love you. Show me how to love you. You're the dream I had last night. Girl, you caused my sun to rise. I love the way that we unite. Unite, unite. You have this way about you. Must be the way that you move. Take my soul and dig this groove. Oh, give me a chance, 'cause I really wanna dance with you, yeah. Show me how to love ya. Rhythm is our truth, and I really wanna dance with you, yeah. Show me how to love ya. Look into my eyes as our bodies synchronize as two, yeah. I'm learning how to love ya. Keep you satisfied if you show me how to dance with you, yeah. Show me how to love ya. Free falling faster than the speed of light. Guess you don't need no wings to learn to fly. Oh, breeze for the impact as our hearts collide. The spirits crossing to the other side. Oh yeah, give me a chance, 'cause I really wanna dance with you, yeah. Show me how to love you. Rhythm is our truth, and I really wanna dance with you, yeah. Show me how to love you. Look into my eyes as our bodies synchronize as two, yeah. I'm learning how to love, yeah. Keep you satisfied if you show me how to dance with you, yeah. Show me how to love you. Show me how to love you. Show me how to love you.
Oh, man, fantastic.
Dude, solid, man. That was amazing. That was amazing.
Thanks, guys. That's great. One more?
Amazing.
So Kubla, tell us a little bit about the song that you just played, How to Love You.
It is. So I wrote that song in Toronto with my two friends, Stephen and Jem, Stephen Leckie and Jem. And both of them are really nice guys. We were in the studio. It was kind of the first song that I finished with other people. Like, I've been a songwriter for a really long time. and I've been songwriting by myself for a really long time, and like with certain other people in like smaller collaborative spaces, but never like from start to finish. Will take like 2 days to really work out a song all together, start to finish. And so Stephen and I were working on the song, and we had this like na 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 boo boo kind of like melody sort of idea.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to write a song that was really about like I just wanted to write a song that was really about learning about how to treat somebody well, either in a relationship or in a conversation, or like, to me, there's a real kind of sentiment of that I really try to practice in my life. So the perspective that I hold with that, of really liking to learn what other people like when I'm their friend or in a relationship with them or whatever. Obviously the song's kind of sexy. I produced the whole song myself.
Nice.
So the song kind of has like, I like creating like a very neo soul kind of sexy vibe. I get a lot of inspiration from like Black American music. And my feeling about it was just that there's a real sensuality, because I think we live now in the age where people put a lot of emphasis on consent. But in my mind, even though consent is important, it's not as important as actually like learning the little intricacies of an individual when you're dealing with them. Because if you're constantly like making everything really explicit, and if you're constantly making everything really explicit while not learning actually how to treat somebody the way they want to be treated, then I think it kind of defeats the purpose. Like, you're clear legally, but you're not actually making somebody happy. So
right. That's, I mean, like getting attorney signed papers in the middle of a relationship is never sexy.
Never ever.
No, there's definitely a soul to your music and the lyrics that you use when you're just discussing the ideas of, you know, how to love someone. That's very different than loving someone. It's almost like you're investigating the science behind what makes a person tick and what they actually like. And there's almost something more, I guess, intimate about that in a way.
It's like tuning your intuitions, right? Like, because everyone intuitively kind of knows how to, you know, just behave around. Like we there's like a psychological phenomenon where we'll act differently around different people because they're like to try to be on their level. You know what I mean? Like I when I moved to Toronto, I was really aware of the fact that I was from the West Coast, and that I had like accent that was different than how they had. I had this way of speaking. I didn't know the slang, and it really made me feel on the out group. But as soon as I kind of learned a bit more about what the ideas were that they used, I was able to adapt a lot better. And it wasn't conscious. It was just like me, like, but I was kind of watching it happen. Me like learn that.
Was that growing up that you had that move, or was this like later in life when you could sort of?
This was last year.
Okay, so you could kind of approach it from a more perspective based, like, okay, I have this sort of way that I'm thinking, and out here it's a little different.
Kind of. I was just kind of worried, and then all of a sudden I noticed that it was okay. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like conscious. Like I'm unfortunately, like certain times I wish that I was like a sociopath and I could just like observe human behavior and just be like, this is how I get people to like me. But that's just not how it works. I'm a very like,
it's a Canadian psycho instead of American psycho.
Yeah, no, I'm not like that.
No, you don't want to go that way.
I'm not like that. So my experience with it was really like, how do I say it? It was really subconscious, and after like 5 or 6 months I really felt more comfortable like interfacing. And we're already a Canadian. Like I've had that feeling in America where like I'll hang out, especially with musicians, and I'll be like this is weird. Like I feel like an alien in certain ways. Do
you have any examples? What's the weirdest or anything that sticks out in your mind in terms of differences?
Between Americans and Canadians,
or even like in the music, like
in the music scene. Yeah.
So like obviously America is a huge like culture capital, and like obviously not every American can take credit for that, because there's just like 10 times as many people in America as there are in Canada. And so Canada really takes a lot from like the really robust, like I love America. I think America is a great country, just because it has so much diversity in its like thinking. Like it's crazy. Like Canadian, the opinion of Americans by Canadians is that everyone has like varying degrees. Like some people dislike Americans, which I find weird.
Mhm.
Some people like love Americans, but everyone thinks America's crazy because America is crazy.
I think on behalf of America, we could say thank you.
Thank you.
I think we take that, most of us take that as some sort of compliment.
I think that it is, because I think that when you're like, I've been to a few countries, like mainly like America and Europe. But my opinion is that like, even though homogenous, like really kind of like lockstep countries are really like nice to be in and like enjoyable, they love, like, even as a Canadian, I come in there and I'm like, I've got like all these kind of like weird diverse opinions, and I like do art and stuff like that. And a lot of them are kind of like afraid of doing that because they have such like a kind of set locked thing, like
Rigid social status type of thing.
Totally. Like they're going to school, like they're working in restaurants, going to school to be engineers, like huge amount of things that they do. And there are obviously musicians there too, who are really successful and really amazing. But I feel like the abundance of like people who are just like going for it is massive in America. So what I really notice in America is that you get so many of these like big pockets of communities that are like, there's kind of like a bit of like competition and vibe, and like people aren't as afraid to be kind of not nice or like dismissive to people. Whereas in Canada, Canadians are way more inclusive. I find, like on average, like a Canadian asshole is just somebody who's like loud and annoying in like the way that you expect an asshole to be. But it's
you would think they're American.
Exactly.
I was just say, oh, yeah, the average Joe here.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I feel like I take a lot of cues from the way Americans behave, like especially entrepreneurially, because like I'm sure you guys experience this just starting a podcast. Is like you got to be a little bit fucking insane to start a podcast and go like, okay, we're just gonna keep doing it, like keep feel the same way when it comes to music. That like I see a lot of people who kind of fail to do that, and I always find myself in a role in a community where I'm like encouraging people to be like, hey, just do it.
Yeah,
we're on this podcast. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. We encourage it. Fucking hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, because I don't know. I find because like the market is so like there's a lot of arts funding from the government in Canada, and which people view as a good thing. But I think that to some degree that creates a lot of distance between what the audience wants and what they get, because people create art and they get rewarded for it without really like interfacing with the actual audience that they're trying to get. And the thing is with an entrepreneurship, like if you're tapping into a new market, no grant adjudicator can like identify, they know that too. Like they'll give money on spec because like you're talented or you have your shit together, but they know, like I've talked to a lot of people who give out grants in Canada, is they know that like you're trying to create a new audience, and that's just the best they hope for you, right? They're just trying to give money for the arts and hoping that happens. And sometimes it does, but you know, in America that happens all the time. Like people just pop off because they like figure out a kind of unique perspective that hasn't been filled, and then they just work really hard. They make a lot of YouTube videos, and they make a lot of public appearances. They busk a lot and they film it or whatever. And then all of a sudden, you know, they're famous in some way.
And it's wild too, because sometimes it's all of a sudden like you get those viral like videos where, you know, everyone knows the meme now at this point. Yeah. But then there's the people who do, you know, like you're saying, they put in that time, they grind for however many years, and then all of a sudden Spotify picks them up. Totally. You know, all of a sudden after 5 or 6 years of people doing that grinding work, you know, putting in either the music or the work with the podcast or whatever it may be, or even a small business.
Yeah, 100%.
You do see that a lot.
And that is like, it's so important to have that sense of perseverance, because I think that's something that humans do really well also. Like, is just be able to run at something for a long time and just happens. And I think that like, there's, I don't know, I always think, because I found this with Reddit too, because you guys found me through Reddit, right?
Right.
Like, at first with Reddit, like there were a couple times where I had like 90,000 viewers.
Oh, wow.
This is crazy. Like, this is crazy. I'm going to keep doing this and keep on going. And lately I've just been like, either I've been hitting the algorithm the wrong way, or people have been like people prefer it when I have just my front facing phone, but I don't think that's it's just like, because I've been using this DSLR. But like, I've just been getting so much less fortunate, but to me, I kind of see it as a test. Like instead of me looking at it and be like, I give up. I'm like, to hell with this. I'm gonna see if I can like keep excelling the expectation of whatever is going on here and keep working with it because there's just a challenge now, and it's just.
Yeah, man. And you don't find success unless you're willing to go through that and temper the bad times. I mean, we encounter that as a podcast, even where we get dips in numbers, man. We'll get a month that gets a quarter of the last month and we'll be like, what the fuck
did we do?
But, we try our best and I'll let it just fucking mess with our mind. We just keep rolling ahead, and it bounces back or goes
He's
up.
good at keeping me grounded at those points. That is the nice thing about having a partnership.
It does make it easier, dude. We keep each other insane in the right amounts,
I've experienced the exact same thing because I have a friend who I met in Toronto he's been kind of filling the role of manager for me. Like we're not official, but he's a really great guy, and he just kind of like keeps me encouraged and keeps me grounded through the thing and reminds me that it's like a slow burn, like it takes a while. And that it's important for me to be in it for the long haul and not the short haul. And even though I know that, like, even though I'm aware of that, I find it so grounding to be reminded of that. So partnership is so important. Community is just so important. Like
feedback.
Yeah. I've been a really
because sometimes you can be too close to a project.
Totally. 100%. Have you guys ever had people around you who've been like, what are you doing? Like do something else.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I don't think I've had any detractors, but I've had more like I'm always the one to be like, check out this thing that I did, and people are like, that's nice, and I'm like, no, like I put in like 4 hours of like work into this one like section, just like please,
yeah,
honor the work, please.
Yeah, like people care about this on the internet. I promise.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man.
That kind of positive encouragement is so important. And now as well that I've been building an audience, like a bit of one, people actively try to encourage me because I think they know the stage that I'm at. And so they realize that even though they like what I'm doing and they see the stuff that's coming as an output, I think they actively go out of their way to be like, hey, you're doing great. Like this is like, keep doing this. This is really enjoyable. And I think it'll do really well if you keep going. So that's really nice. That's really great to have.
Absolutely. And you got 2 more fans right here. I mean, you mentioned that I had originally found you, I was browsing on Reddit on my phone, and I like the new live things that they're doing, and I saw you performing on there, jumped in. I forget exactly what date it was, but I think you were solo, just kind of doing your thing. And I put it on while I was editing at work, and I was like, damn, this kid's fucking awesome. You dropped your Instagram handle, hopped over to there, and that's kind of where we connected. So I guess my question is, what got you into the idea of going live and popping on a platform like Reddit of all platforms? So
I go on Reddit like intermittently, like from time to time I'll just pop on and like see how it's going, because it's always kind of been like, it's kind of like Twitter in that it's a weird shit show that you want to.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
I mean, we get the most. To give you an idea, we when we do our weekly bizarre news segments, all of that comes from Reddit, because when you want someone on fire, you want someone shooting a Sasquatch, you want
go to that dirty cesspool. Ugh.
Yeah, there you go. So it was kind of beautiful to find something like your music amongst all the other stuff on Reddit that can really put you in a negative space for the day.
I've experienced the same thing when it comes to Reddit. Like I've just, and YouTube too. Like I always find that the really creator friendly platform, the not so creator friendly platforms, the ones that like require a creator to kind of like have a bit of perseverance and because like I found with Instagram, even though I found a lot of great artists through Instagram or any, like, I don't know, like I was on TikTok for a second, but I don't mess with it.
Now it's banned.
Yeah, I was gonna say
going to be.
Well, yeah, they're going bankrupt.
So that's right. You guys will still have it.
Yeah. So I guess like Australia, like this weird social network between Australia and Canada. It's kind of funny when US pulls out because there's just this big black void. Just like all of a sudden, because most of, I guess, that social media kind of like takes off in the US.
Yeah.
But
there's always some influencer who's figured out how to work it.
Exactly. But my job before the pandemic started was a professional, like, live musician. Like that's what I did full time.
Oh wow.
Gigs. So and that was for a lot of years, and that was like before I became an artist. So I was in my hometown, and I was thinking about going to music school and a bunch of different things. And then I decided instead of going to music school, I kind of designed my own curriculum, because what I wanted to do wasn't exactly like a music school. You can study classical or jazz or like contemporary or these different ideas. And they give you like a good kind of entry zone, but they give you some performance experience. But I figured if I wanted to become a good performer, the only way to do that is actually by performing. So for the longest time, I would perform at like crappy bars. I'd perform at crappy, like restaurants and stuff like that. And then eventually those gigs became like I would do like corporate gigs and weddings and like nice bars, and people, supported me from the beginning and really helped me to achieve things, like whether the musicians or venue owners or whatever. And then when I became an artist, like, which is more of like a creator role, which was last year, my thinking was that I would kind of start slowing down on the gigs, because I felt I've probably like 1,500 gigs under my belt.
Oh, wow.
Which is like quite a lot. Like I was looking at, I was doing it full time for 5 years, like way more than full time. I was probably working like 60-hour weeks or something like that. Just
shit.
Rehearsing, gigging, and then in my free time I'd be producing, and just working out and occasionally hanging out with my friends. And that was like my whole life for like from when I was like 21 to about 25.
Oh, wow.
And then when I moved to Toronto, because I just wanted to like get out of the place where people knew me as the guy to call when they needed somebody for a gig. When I moved to Toronto, I started playing some more gigs, but I was learning that like the shorter bursts where I was able to like interact with people were way better. I was just enjoying myself more. And when the pandemic started, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I tried a couple like Facebook lives, and I was like, what is this? I was like 300 followers on Facebook, 20 people are watching. What's going on?
Yeah, right.
Instagram live is a shit show. It's just like, I don't even like even famous people. And I go and like somebody who's like 50,000 followers on Instagram, and they go do an Instagram live, and they're like 100 people there. And I'm like,
yeah. Comedians, I pop in the lives all the time, and people with like name recognition are only getting a couple hundred maybe at most. Snoop Dogg, he gets like 500 at most. You think it'd be like 1 million people watching?
100%. And I mean, like there's certain people, like I don't know if you've heard of the artist Jacob Collier from England. He's amazing. If you guys haven't checked him out, he's unbelievable. He's like the Mozart of our generation. But he's just like so creative and so unbelievable at so many different instruments, and very like he's very well spoken. He's very cool. It's very like I'm a jazz nerd, so my whole background, like that kind of music and that kind of musicianship really appeals to me. So I'm definitely his market, but I think it's worth everyone checking out and be like, whoa, that's just
just followed him on Spotify. He's got like 5 million, 10 million on some of his top songs, 6 million.
He's won a couple of Grammys, but yeah. So what was I just saying? So Jacob Collier.
You said the pandemic kind of hit, and that's when you were messing around with the live stuff.
So off kilter. Jacob Collier,
that's what we're here for.
He does Instagram lives. Then we're going for, I wanted to make more YouTube content, try out more different things. And then I went on Reddit. I saw these broadcasting things. I saw it was really easy for me to do, and I was like, I have a lot of experience in playing live shows. Why not just go for it? Like, why not just try like doing live shows all the time? And then I did like a couple, and I would get like 50 views. And then I did a few where I got like 500 concurrent viewers, like quite regularly. And I guess that was like more at the beginning of it. Now it's a lot more competitive, so it's different. I'm still trying it out, but and I still, the great thing is that the great thing about Reddit is that people are there to be disrupted. Like they're there to like go and see something that's kind of new and different. So whereas on Instagram, like it's either like most of my followers are musicians, and YouTube's amazing. Like I love YouTube, but YouTube has like a very slow growth algorithm. So on Reddit, you can just like, it's kind of this Wild West where like so many different things can happen. I love
just walk in the saloon and start shooting.
Exactly. Just guns loaded. Just give it a shot. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't. And I like that kind of vibe. Like I like how Reddit's kind of maintained that, how they kind of have like a constant offshoot. So it's a great platform.
I think you had a good point on that though too, where it's almost like Instagram is what you like already. You know, it's you're either following it or you don't see it.
Yeah.
Whereas Reddit is literally things you've never seen before. It's all new. So it almost has that availability for discovery.
Totally. And I guess that's part of what makes it so coveted in a lot of ways. But also like the viewership is like weird. Like when I see people popping off, first of all, I'm like, they're not playing my kind of music, because most people on Reddit, just like the people who listen to my kind of music, don't really go on Reddit that much, it seems. Like some of them do, but like I'm really inspired by artists like Stevie Wonder and D'Angelo and Tom Misch and a bunch of different like newer, more contemporary artists like Mac Ayres, who's from America. It's really dope musicians who are kind of like, and I guess it's new happening, but a lot more jazz influence is kind of seeping into pop music and to more different styles of music, where
it slows it down a little bit.
Totally, and it smooths it out, and it gives it like a more deep kind of harmonic feel, which I think people really react well to. Like I think that's why like people associate like R&B with sex, is because it's sensual. Like there's a sensuality to it, but you can listen to it while you're eating dinner or whatever. But anyway, so I find that when I see somebody doing really well, what I see is I'm sitting there like, oh, so they're playing like old time blues and like shit people like in a more mass regard in Reddit, you know, like people, you know, lots of people on Reddit are like most of them are nerds. I'm a nerd, but most
nice
people.
Save.
Nice save. Most of them are dumb nerds. No,
dude, it's a big fucking community coming at him hard.
Yeah, that's our audience.
But I mean, it's true. Like I very much, the reason that I go on Reddit is because like I follow news about gaming and you know, news about comedy and news about like weird intellectual shit that I'm interested in. So that's where I get it all. So when I see it, it's like, it makes sense that somebody who's playing like anime theme songs and like, you know, kind of more old time singer-songwriter stuff that's more friendly to that audience gets more. But I'm really just trying to shoehorn my like my stylings in there as best I can.
Well, if people are open to you, it really depends on what people's, you know, tastes come down to. I mean, I found you. I like all kinds of music besides country, and yeah, I am an asshole. But no, I'm really hoping that these avenues sort of open up. We see Matt and I have talked to a lot of comedians recently who have been trying the live stream stuff. It seems like it
does not translate as well. It doesn't translate at all, to be honest. I've watched too many cringe fests lately, and I kind of simmered down. Not many people are doing it anymore besides doing bit videos and skit and whatnot. But yeah, that doesn't translate as well as hearing Kubla just fucking play out a sweet ass song off of his EP.
It's odd because there's almost, with the comedy, you need that reaction from the audience to know if you're doing well or not. Mm-hmm. But with music, it's not as focused on, I mean, it's probably nice to have the audience there. I'd imagine you've played live so much compared to like the live stream.
And the crazy thing is that no matter what, like I love psychology just as a concept, like the study of human behavior as if we're kind of animals. And it's very true with comedy. Like you couldn't watch a comedian as a one person in a show unless the comedian an unbelievable orator and you were just like, why is nobody else here? But most comedians, even if they're good, if you see them, the reason that it's so good is because you kind of get this confirmation from everyone around you.
The laugh track.
Yeah, it's why the laugh track is popular. Like it works. It's the same thing like if you see a funny movie, if you go to a funny movie and you're in a crowd full of people, like I remember like my friend and I were in London because he was going to school in England. I was visiting him. And we saw Avengers Endgame in like the biggest theater in London, which is a big ass city.
Oh shit!
And it was incredible. Like, but it was just because everyone was there, like doing the oohs and the ahs and really genuinely interacting and laughing and that's part of what makes it enjoyable. So with this pandemic, when you have comedians, you know, I love comedy, but like and it's the reason I love podcasts is because like if you guys are talking to each other and you're like bouncing off each other, it becomes funny because you're making each other laugh and it's kind of like you're an audience of one and it kind of works. But like for those like big kind of bits to work, like if somebody's doing like bits and it's just for one person, it's like, no, doesn't work.
Back to the cringe fest. Oh.
Yeah,
it's all a form of the hypnosis, really, and that the community like part of it is just.
That's why they have a 2-drink minimum.
Yeah, but no, like there's just that like energy. Just the hypnosis is like just the best way to put it. I've heard so many people refer to it like that, and it's just you fall under this like influence when you hear the guitar and the voice, or when you hear a comedian and he's addressing you individually throughout the crowd, and it's just this fucking net around you, you know?
Yeah, it's magic.
Yeah.
Psychology wise, it goes back to that experiment where, you know, they had people all sitting in a room and someone comes in and everyone's an actor and they all stand up. And the only person who's not an actor is sitting, and they look around and eventually stand up because you're doing what, you know.
Well, if you see what's
around you,
art people like enjoy, it's like the reason they enjoy it is because they're like what the artist did isn't necessarily just the skill of making something beautiful. It's also just the skill of being able to convince a mass of people to like confirm amongst themselves that what they're doing is good. You know what I mean? Like when something blows up, they blow up. Like it's seldom that like if you see somebody who's getting like, you know, if they like have like 40,000 really genuine followers on Instagram, they're like doing really well on YouTube. It's like they're a powder keg ready to explode because people are just ready to kind of share their stuff around and really confirm. And it's same for me. Like if I find a creator and I'm like, this is great, but they have very few followers, so I'm going to just see what happens because the fact that they have very few followers is subconscious, but the fact they have very few followers might mean they kind of suck. And so I don't want to share with my friends for the risk of being like, this is great. And they're like, this actually sucks. And you suck. And you know what I mean?
You don't want to be the detractor amongst all of the people who are, you know, well-wishing and saying the positivity. That just makes you a dick.
But at the same time, like you guys must experience this too, but like those people are heroes. Like people who go out on a limb for you and go like, it's crazy that nobody's listening to this, or it's crazy that nobody's interested in this. And
yeah,
like,
hell yeah. We had a tweet from last week that literally warmed the cockles of my heart because they said like, you know, we listened to these guys a long time ago. Everyone take a page out of their book in terms of audio production, show format, that kind of shit. And I was like, oh, someone noticed. It's been 4 years. This is great. I appreciate it. Like, you know, you're putting that work in. So you're right. They are heroes.
And I respect the shit out of you guys' perseverance in that way because like it is an unbelievable kind of journey to like support yourself and have a big picture vision that you want to enact ultimately, especially in this world where like it's totally possible, but it's way harder than it's ever been if you even get like your foot in the door because it's available to so many people and there's so much randy competition. So you guys are killing it.
That oversaturation is the killer to the artist's heart. I swear, you know, it can easily kill perseverance. Like it's just, you can get to the point where it's like, nobody's fucking listening and just fall off. And I see it happen with musicians, podcasters, more than anything. Honestly, podcasters fall off all the time. We've seen so many shows go dead since the incarnation of this. Like,
but you got to push through because I think the one thing that we're most grateful for is like the freedom that we have to just, you know, talk to cool people like you and do that kind of thing. So you got to look at the long run of it and not the short run. With music, comedy, podcasting, whatever it is, you know.
Dude, yeah.
Absolutely. And you can kind of like source your own opinions and make sure that everything you're saying is protected under your own brand. And that's the beautiful thing. I mean, for me, like I'm in no way like so off the trail in terms of my opinions, my feelings, but like my interests, like I love playing with dangerous ideas and thinking about things in like a deep and nuanced kind of way. So the really deeply important thing to me is to make sure that I build my brand accordingly. So I'm not like, you know, I'm not just like making love songs that I can only explain as like, oh, I was like seeing this girl and the sex was so good that like, so yeah, I'm sure you guys feel the same way where it's like having that ability to say, hey, like, this is what I think. And I'm probably wrong because people are mostly wrong most of the time. But
you're pretty introspective from, you know, the time that we've been talking to you from, you know, your music and everything.
I'm unbearably introspective.
But at least that's not dangerous. You know, it's when you're not that's really, you can be taken advantage of or led down the wrong path if you're not thinking. So
good point.
And it definitely translates in your music, man. The way that every note is hit, whether it's your guitar or your vocals, I could tell your vocals. You've definitely taken some serious love and time in perfecting your vocals over the years. Because like, you hit notes without any imperfections at all. You do one of the nicest live performances that I've seen. So, yeah,
that's actually something I'd love to talk about, because my journey learning how to sing was very interesting. Because singing is it's a very vulnerable thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I only learned how to sing when I was like 21, like 5 or so years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I only really, really learned how to sing when I was like 23. So I took singing lessons from like, I just wanted to approach it from like a really scientific point of view, because so many people have like these kind of feelings about it when they just really came into it when they were younger and they were able to like understand it better. But like to really understand how to breathe and how to control your breath and how to control your voice and how to like, even just, you know, I listen to a ton of artists like Stevie Wonder and like African and Black American artists who are like, they just have like a different physiology than me. Like not to say that like I sound like certain people who have darker skin, not to say that skin color has anything to do with the sound of your voice, but like bone structure absolutely does. So if I want to sound like from like Bryan Adams to like who's the guy who sings with Queen now? Ryan Lambert.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. He's a nut singer. I could never, ever in my life sound like him. If I tried to sound like him, or if I tried to sound like, tried to sound like Stevie Wonder, or if I tried to sound like Marvin Gaye, it would just be an like impossible task. And getting to know your own voice and getting to understand it is the most important part of it. If there are any singers listening, or anyone who's interested in that kind of thing, I'd say the best advice I can give to singers is really get to know the sound of your voice and respect it. Because if you just try to sound like other people and try to push your voice to those high notes that you can't hit, or those low notes that you can't hit, or try to make a tone that doesn't work for you, you're not going to reach your highest potential. Because your physiology, like the way my jaw is structured, the way my face, bones of my face are structured, the width of my ribs, everything has to do with sound. So
is that something that's constantly evolving in terms of like your voice, or is it like you found it and you're like, that's it?
I feel like there's like an 80-20 rule. Have you guys heard of the 80-20 rule?
No,
fill us in.
No.
80% of the stuff, like if you learn a skill, it's really easy, like proportionally, like you could take a year and learn 80% of a skill. So if you want to become really good at a video game, it's like if you put in the time to just learn the really basic stuff, it's like you could put in 20% of the work to get 80% of the results. So you can become, it's really easy, like not easy, but it's like easier to become a jack of all trades than it is to become, or I guess it's just as easy, but like you have to really focus on the last 20% to gain mastery. The way that I feel is that I've gained that first 80%. And I feel like my mom's a singer and my dad's like a pretty good singer. So they both have like I feel like I'm endowed with a bit of good genetics when it comes to singing. So I feel like my 80% is pretty good. Like it's not like incredible, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's almost like you need to have that base to work off of.
And so that extra 20% is just what I'm always striving for. I'm always striving for like if I can hit like a semitone higher in like a nicer tone, like, so I'm always practicing that. It's the same thing with guitar. Like I started as a guitar player. So my journey as a musician has really been like I was playing guitar since I was 11. I was obsessed with it until I was like, probably 19. And I was still obsessed with it, but it was just like, it became a different relationship where I was like more into having girlfriends and like, writing songs, doing all this different stuff, that like practicing guitar purely for a bunch of hours. And I learned that like my ability to play guitar, to learn how to be good at the guitar takes so much more effort now than it did before. Like before it was like, oh, this new concept that just like, I can just like pour myself into is so easy. Now it's like tiniest little details that I have to like really iron out to make things align and work. And I think that's true of any skill. Like, I especially found it like when the pandemic started, I used to play a lot of like MOBAs in high school. And so I have a few friends who are really, really good at League of Legends. And so I was like, fuck it. Like, these are good friends. Like, it's a good hang. So me being bad at League of Legends for a little bit and then learning how to become kind of good at it is kind of worth it. Like, it'd be kind of fun to like try to do the 80-20 thing with a game. And I did it. And it was really fun because I became like infinitely better than I would have before. And I think that's true for like most things. Like if you want to learn an instrument, it's actually really easy to kind of become pretty good at it. But it's
I feel like with editing, I'm now that you're saying that, it's sort of, I'm running up against that myself, where it's like, I can do the basics, but then when it comes to, you know, creating fucking dragon for Frodo to fight, I'm not there yet, you know, and that becomes infinitely harder. It's like you get that big chunk down. Here's the basics, and it's like now spend 20 hours, you know,
and it's a whole
keyframing.
Yeah, and it's what people look for. Like people. It's kind of like height. Like I see the same thing with height. Like if you see something, like my girlfriend's 5'1", short, right? But it's not that short. It's still like a 5 foot tall person. I'm only 5'11", so it's like we're only like maybe 20% different in height, like 15% different in height. Whereas like, you know, we just kind of view like 4.5 feet is kind of like the minimum height for a person, then everything above that. So like somebody who's 6'2" is like way taller than me, it seems. But they're so less. You're 6'2"?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It's like if we were standing side by side, I'd be like, wow, he's so tall.
And then I went to school with a couple of kids who were like 6'7", 6'9", and I watched them duck through fucking doorways and shit.
You're like, oh my God, they're crazy. My younger brother's 6'3", so wow. I got the short end of the stick, man.
Damn.
No, I'm kidding. But he's 6'3", so like when I look up to him, I'm like there's like 4.5 inches of difference. Like when I like, but I'm like, he's so tall. It's crazy how tall he is. But I think that's the same thing when it comes to skills. It's like even if you got like most of the way through a skill, as soon as you see that extra little bit of work that somebody put in, you're like, they're infinitely better than me. There's like they're impossibly better than me. Whereas to the average person, it's like, yeah, they're like a little bit better than you, maybe, you know?
Hats off on that analogy, man. I'm giving you that one. I love a good analogy, and I'm just.
I think it announced.
Oh, that was amazing. So you mentioned that your parents both sang a little bit. Were they involved in the music industry too, or?
My parents are professional musicians.
Oh wow.
So it's a bit of a fraught story because my dad, like my mom and dad are separated, but they're divorced now. And I've got a really great stepmom who's also a musician.
Oh wow.
And basically, I don't know, like I was really raised in a musical household. Like my best friends, I have a very best friend. He's studying, he's getting his PhD in law right now. But he is not a musician. He knows nothing about music. He's like a bad sense of hearing. The only thing he does well is read. So he's the kind of guy who can like sit there and read. Like he one time, he went to school in the UK. So one time he was flying back to Victoria. It was like a 12 or 13-hour flight. He read 3 books.
Oh shit!
Wow,
he's a motherfucker when it comes to reading. It's insane. Like I'm blown away. I like brag about it all the time to people. I'm like, man, he has so many books Nick fucking read. It's crazy.
I have the most well-read friend.
So, but his perspective is that I was just raised with music as like a normal part of my life. So it seemed to me like it was a really normal thing to do. Like I wanted to become like either a psychologist or like a mechanical engineer or something interesting, but I kind of fell into music almost like it was the family business, which I
don't
felt
act like music's not interesting though.
Well, it is, but I mean, like just to build the kind of frame that I'm setting is that it's so normal to me, like listening to music and hearing music and going to concerts and all these things that I've done since I was a kid. Like I was hanging out at festivals and stuff. Wow. Just like being a kid, just like backstage, meeting a bunch of like random famous Canadian or American musicians and just being like, oh, okay, this is kind of normal. My dad was part of a really successful folk rock band in Canada called Spirit of the West.
Cool.
And they had like a really big hit, which kind of became like the St. Patrick's Day anthem in Canada.
Really?
Called Spirit of the West. The song's called Home for a Rest. And my dad played like bass and mandolin and a bunch of different stuff. He's like an unbelievable instrumentalist, but his whole kind of, I kind of feel like I'm a little mix between my parents. Like insofar as like my mom's a singer songwriter. She had to put everything aside to raise my brother and I, because my dad kind of had like a bit of a midlife, like rock star debacle where he was like, and he went off with another woman and like did his thing for a bit. I didn't talk to him for a bunch of years. And then meantime, mom raised me, and I was like a very difficult teenager. So she really had
You're talking to 2 as well, so yeah. You're in good company.
Exactly. I think to be at all, like to have that kind of perseverance, to have that kind of like gumption to do stuff, like the sign is in there's a book, I haven't read it, but I've heard the concepts about it. It's about like sensitivity and aggression. And essentially like people who are really sensitive and really not necessarily emotionally sensitive, but they're very reflective and very perceptive on average, like they'll usually be kind of aggressive because they notice more things and more things bring up emotions in them. And so I think the point of the book, I don't want to butcher this, so I don't really know, but I think the point of the book is that most of the prison population actually were really sensitive kids who had a lot of potential because but were just like mistreated in society, which I just view as kind of a truism, but I could be totally wrong. My point is that people who are sensitive are just more likely to be kind of intuitive, entrepreneurial people. So I think comes part and parcel of being like a weird or difficult or like energetic teenager when you're like an adult who's like going for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're kind of rebelling against the rules of whatever's been set up around you in a way and trying to figure out how to succeed despite them.
But you're doing it productively because you realize that needs to be done in a society, right? Whereas people who are more likely to just exist in lockstep are just like, you know, they're perpetuating the status quo, and there are great things about the status quo, but for people who are like trying to like move, get it, things, musicians, artists, whatever. Point is my mom really dealt with a lot of stuff with my brother and I growing up, and so I mean, like the song that I'm going to play at the end, which is called "Rich," is a kind of like my testament to that, where like my family has always been kind of poor. Like we've always been like, haven't been very good with money, like through generations back. And it kind of and we've always been kind of self-sabotaging when it comes to like money and how we treat ourselves. Like we really value our family and we really value the people around us, but we don't like, nobody in my family has just gone out and said like, I want to be rich. Like, fuck this, you know? So, yeah, so the song's about that. And there's a line in the song where I say, I want to buy my mom a new house and never charge her rent. And that is a huge driving factor in my career. Like that's enormous, at least at the beginning. But like I feel really strongly about trying to support the people who were really there for me to support me. And so kind of building that entrepreneurial sense. And I could do it if I were like working a normal job. But I think that in order to like become wildly successful and sort of like create like some retribution for your parents for their career and the sacrifices they made for you, if I'm a musician and they're musicians, is like deeply important. And it kind of creates a cool story too. So yeah, I like every part of it.
We can tell, man. There's a passion in you, dude, and there's no doubt you're going to be so successful, man.
Thanks, guys.
I mean, dude, the talent is just pouring through. And after talking to you, to seeing how fucking introspective you are, like, and how much thought you put into fucking everything in your life, dude, it's a beautiful thing that as artists we can't help but appreciate. And
yeah, you got 2 more fans here, and I'm sure some of our audience is going to be hooked after this interview.
Dude, hell yeah, man. Just we appreciate the hell out of it, man.
Of course.
Yeah.
Before we get into that ending song, do you want to hit us with the plugs where everyone can find you?
Let's do that. So my Instagram handle is Kubla. My website is kublamusic.com, which is pretty much where it's pretty much just a portal to most of my other stuff. And what else? Yeah, you can find me on Spotify or anywhere music streamed. And I've got an EP coming on August 25th. I don't know when this episode is going to come out, but yeah, the EP is called Goldenboy. Kind of the concept behind it is that I really like have you guys heard of the hero's journey? Is it an idea?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're very, very.
We're obsessed with it, kind of.
So I kind of decided to create a little bit of I want to create a little bit of a narrative throughout my albums. This might be the first time or the first and last time I ever talk about it. So
exclusive. We love them.
Very exclusive, because I might kind of try to keep it a little bit of a secret moving forward and see.
Cool.
Kind of like Tyler Creator's 3 albums. Kind of a story in themselves, as people discovered. But I love the idea of having a hero's journey, especially in today's society where I feel people are really lost in their feeling of direction. And kind of being able to like be a person who can go into an industry that everyone says is like broken, nobody makes money in music, and try to do something in it that's worthwhile and paint a picture with a life and whatever. So that's what the EP is about. I produced it all by myself. And it was mixed by my friend Elijah. And with the exception of that one song, which was written by my friends Steven and Jem, the first song I played. And yeah, and otherwise I've got other music elsewhere. I'm kind of doing the beginnings of a YouTube channel right now.
Nice.
So I'm doing some reaction videos, which have been really fun.
Cool.
I'm introspective. I like to talk. So I've kind of been experimenting with that a bit. And yeah, man, it's been really fun being on this podcast, you guys.
Dude, anytime.
Welcome
The door's
back anytime.
always open, baby. You just got to bring a couple songs with you, though. That's
I will. I'll bring it.
It's like the bottle of wine for the house party. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll bring all kinds of songs. I'll just make up songs on the spot just to hang out.
There we go.
Hell yeah. All right, people. We love each and every one of you. Before we get out of here to this beautiful tune, catch me at MWG Media on Instagram and Matty G from HP on Xbox Live. Catch these mittens, baby.
And you can find me at Landers the Plane on everything.
Woo! Sing us out, baby.
This is a song off my upcoming EP. It's coming out on August 25th, and it's called Rich. I wanna be rich. Yeah, I wanna be. I wanna be rich, yeah. I wanna be. Yeah, I wanna be rich. Yeah, I wanna be. I wanna be rich, yeah. I wanna be rich in friends, rich in love, but especially money. Can't get enough, 'cause I've seen folks, yeah, lose themselves in a pile of gold, give themselves everything they want, yeah. And forget about the moment. I wanna fly south with my best friends, buy my mom a new house, yeah, and never charge her rent. I wanna exist, yeah, I wanna breathe, but I wanna be rich, yeah. I wanna be rich in time, rich in soul, but I need some money so I can afford to glow. 'Cause I've seen folks, yeah, lose themselves in a pile of gold, give themselves everything they want, yeah, but forget about the moment. And I wanna be, yeah, losing myself in a pile of gold, give myself everything I want, yeah, and forget about the moment. I wanna be rich, I wanna be rich, yeah, I wanna be. That's that. Thanks for having me, guys.
We smoking America, we passing America. I'm mapping America, I'm second America. We talking America, we blazing America. This is fucking America, we're second America.
This has been American Slacker Podcast. You can reach the show by searching American Slacker on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Reddit, or send them an email to americanslackerpodcast@gmail.com. You can download and rate American Slacker on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and all other podcast platforms. Visit the show's website, aspodcast.com, where you will find every episode, official merchandise, and links to their Patreon if you would like to support American Slacker.
We smoking America, we passing America. I'm mapping America.